Welcome to Talk Theory. It's your host, Kiara Barnes, where I talk all things life, what makes us human, and what makes us superhuman. Sit back, relax, and join me for a chat. Hello, fellow theorist. How do we feel about that? We are into our second season of Talk Theory, and I just feel like, we're due for a proper name for the listeners. I don't know. Tell me what you're thinking. I'll leave maybe a little questionnaire or something for you guys at the end of the episode. Put some of your suggestions, DM me some of your thoughts. We'll definitely circle back to that. I will say, this episode might be shorter because I'm talking a little faster because I got some food on the way. And I'm hoping that we can finish that. Oh, I'm cat sitting as well. Everyone say hi, Fran. Hi, Fran. She's talkative. Okay. So I've been feeling some type of way on the subject of validation. Every time I feel, we're just going to keep going. It's fine. Fran is chilling. She's here. Okay. Every time I feel like I get the hang of this, something happens where I'm reminded, oh, okay, let's check that out. Let's look a little deeper. And, this is definitely one of those things that I think will be addressed in all our lives. I think it's a part of human life to always be growing, failing forward, learning and succeeding, and then growing all over again. That's just the cycle of life. And honestly, I feel the more we accept these very human experiences and reactions, we can grow without all that discomfort in between. So my example recently has been with dating, especially dating apps. It is really hard to connect with someone online and not in person because you're just seeing photos and imagining what they're like in person, but not really knowing. Because as we all know, for the most part, we are presenting our best selves on social media because a lot of the time, our social media is now like a business for a lot of us. And, it's our own platform to collaborate and promote, and that's fair and fine. I think that's just part of it, but that's also, I think, what makes it difficult. Okay, so, all right, I was talking to this guy, over the DMs, and we were talking back and forth for a second. He asked me a question, I answered back. In the meantime, I was like, I want to see if he has other social media platforms. The pics are nice, but I want to see him talking. Because if you were listening to last week, the dating episode, I had matched with this gorgeous guy on this dating app and was like, wow, kudos, right? Kudos to the genetics. Anyhow, I matched with him and I decided to go to his Instagram to see more about him. And I found his videos on Instagram talking about women in a very interesting way. Very, it wasn't giving pro women. It was giving something else. So yeah, I unmatched because I was like, no, thank you. So anyhow, right, this new guy DMing, I do my research. I find him on TikTok. I sound like wild, but this is just the day and age we're in, okay? Find him on TikTok, and honestly, as I was scrolling, I was like, dang, okay, I don't think that we would really get along. Like, I don't think our personalities would really mesh too well. And so, I go back to the Instagram to see if he answered back. And like, no, nothing. Okay. So the next day I check, no, nothing. And then I realized, oh, he left me on red. And honestly, truthfully, it did get to me. Like, I was like, wow, that is so rude. And then immediately started feeling bad about myself. Like, did I not say the right thing? Am I not interesting enough? Are my interests not as cool? Like, what's going on? And I had to stop myself and just go, okay, where is this coming from? Where is this intense like feeling coming from? And it boiled down to just validation. Because as we know, like I already made that decision early on, being like, oh, honestly, I don't think that this guy and I really would mesh or anything. But the fact that he came to that decision as well, and I didn't get to initiate it, it made me feel bad. Like, if I'm being honest, mostly because, nobody loves the feeling of rejection. Of course not. And I don't even know. That word's kind of strong in itself. Like, it wasn't even that deep. Like, we weren't really even talking that long. Like, literally, it lasted like maybe 4 or 5 back and forths. It's just folks realizing they're not compatible or interested in that way. And especially on the internet, I think it's really easy to just like uh not really register the other person as human, because it's like, oh, I don't know you in real life. I just saw you floating around on my feed. Like, you're not a real person to me, which is a really terrible thing to say and think, because of course you're real, but you know what I mean? It's different than meeting in person. And so here I am being like, okay, really? Validation? What's going on with this? And, oddly enough, it popped up again because I'm in the middle of moving and getting everything together. And of course, with moving, it can get just super stressful. So I called my parents, just to talk out my plan. Mostly because plans and organization sets me up for so much more success and so much less anxiety when I have some form of organization going on. So, I'm on the phone telling my parents my plan, and then all of a sudden they're like chiming in, well, make sure you pack this. Did you pack that? Don't forget this. Your moving day is coming up, and basically, blah, blah, blah. I essentially opened the floodgates for even more stress, because now I'm in my head thinking, okay, wait a minute. Like, I organized well enough that all of this is being handled. But now, they're asking a billion questions. Now I'm questioning myself, like, okay, dang, maybe I don't have my stuff together. Like, just getting stressed. And so I had to get off the phone, okay? And I just realized, okay, there it is again. I was searching for validation. I was calling my parents because I thought that they were going to tell me, hey, sounds good. Sounds like you got everything sorted. Just let us know if you need anything or help, something like that, right? Some reassurance. But the truth is, I didn't really need the reassurance. I know what I'm doing. I've moved plenty of times before, so I have a pretty good system set up. So then the question is, okay, then why am I looking for validation in this area? And I think there's a lot to do with trying to find things to self-soothe when you're in a stressful situation, so that it's more palatable. Yeah, we're going to go with that one. But I'm glad, I did take the moment to pause and notice what I was feeling, because I was feeling annoyed, okay, and frustrated with my parents. And it's not like they did anything necessarily wrong or were intentionally trying to stress me out. They were checking in, but just doing it in how they check in. But because of where I was and where I was feeling, how I was feeling, that interaction became just another stressful thing for me to think about. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to just keep to myself about this packing and moving ordeal until it's all said and done, to anyone really. That way I can just follow my own guidance, intuition, advice, whatever, to get things squared away. Because again, it's just me who lives here. So I'm really the only one that could like actually assess what's happening where I'm at. Like my parents aren't living with me. So, they wouldn't even really be able to visually understand or see what's happening. Anyhow, parents, if you're listening, I love you. I'm just a little stressed, but all will be well. By the end of this week, everything will be said and done. I will say, all of this opened up some more conversations about validation in my life, specifically work. I do work in an industry that is heavily subjective. You getting a role or a gig is all dependent on how a group of people feel about you. And even before that, when I was modeling in New York and, a little bit here in LA, it's all about how people subjectively perceive you. So I think, with that in general, I've just been trained or more prone to seek validation, or for that to be like a normal part of life. But it's definitely been something that I've been actively working on to break the habit of, because obviously searching for validation for partners, work, friendships, whatever it is, it's always just going to leave you feeling empty-handed. But the truth is, someone's opinion of you is just that, right? It's an opinion. You don't have to believe it, or it doesn't have to be true or fact. You can just observe it for what it is. And honestly, I just think we get there by having these check-ins with ourselves. I'm like, if I'm speaking specifically about work, I'm aware of areas in my acting that I'm stronger in, areas that, I could use more work or, focus in on. And of course, I'm open to feedback, but also having to be confident in my decisions now, right? My process now, because whatever time it is that I'm making these decisions makes the most sense based off of all of my current training up until now, right? And so there's nothing I can control about that. This is where I'm at right now, is where I'm at right now, and my ability to connect or read through a character is just that, right? So, there's nothing, how someone feels about that is just how they feel. And there's nothing more, nothing less to it. It just is what it is. So I feel like the more willing I'm able to make peace with that, the more peace I ultimately end up feeling about whichever direction things go. And then just less worrying what everyone else thinks of me, and more so what I think of myself. Like, how do I feel? How can I feel happier? So, all in all, work in progress, but there is progress happening, and that matters, and it should be noted. Well, folks, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Short, nice, and sweet. It was really good to get this one off my chest because I've been thinking about it a lot. So the theory of the week is this: when we are in tune from within, we are at peace with the outward. Okay. All right, folks. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. I will see you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.